I always worked out, so working out wasn't a thing. But I noticed when I would tighten up my lifestyle, my cholesterol numbers would normalize. So I just knew from a very early on time that lifestyle was so impactful.
You have more power over your health than what you've been told. This is the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast, and I'm your host, Maya Acosta. I'm passionate about finding healthy lifestyle solutions to support optimal human health. If you're willing to go with me, together we can discover how simple lifestyle choices can help improve our quality of life and increase longevity in a big way. Let's get started. Everyone has unique dietary requirements, and becoming totally plant-based may be challenging. However, if you're seeking a group to help you modify your lifestyle and nutritional needs, this show is for you. Today, Jacque Tarlton, a dedicated certified well coach and wellness advocate, joins us to discuss the importance of adopting a healthy lifestyle at any age to achieve optimal well-being. As always, the full bio and links to each guest are located in the show notes. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm so happy to be here and to be talking with you.
You have been actually interviewing people and thriving in the plant-based world for a while. And so we'll talk about that. And I also want to mention that you're part of the Planted Forward team as well. We'll talk about your role with that program as well. So let's just, for our listeners, because we might have new listeners that maybe are not familiar with your story, we would love to hear how you got started on this path.
Awesome. Thank you again, Maya. So my name is Jacque Tarlton. It's so nice to be here with you, Maya, and with all your listeners. And my journey, I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and my family, we would always sit down, we'd have family meals together, like every night for dinner. We'd always have these well-balanced meals, and I say that in air quotes for those of you who are just listening, because we would always have veggies, and I'd always have a big tall glass of milk, and we'd always have meat. So it was like this healthy, well-balanced meal all the time. And my parents, we didn't bring in a lot of sugary snacks. We didn't have a lot of junk food in the house. And, I thought that I always had this very healthy lifestyle. I would play outside all the time. Like life was good. But then I look back, and our Sundays, my dad would always wake us up. We'd go to church, and literally it would start with a cheese Danish. I would microwave it and put butter on the cheese Danish and drink it with a tall glass of milk. So we're talking like Inflammation Nation there. After church, we would go out to eat with my grandparents. It was always a big family day. So lots of love and beauty there. And then for dinner, we would have schlotzkis or pizza. It was just, there was nothing healthy looking back on it. It was just very inflammatory, but it felt good. It was good for my soul. Well, fast forward, I'm in high school, junior high school in Wichita, Kansas. There's not a lot to do in Wichita. I was always super active, cheered from the time I could walk. So I was always super active. But because there wasn't a lot to do, I started drinking alcohol when I was 12 or 13 years old. That is very young now that I look back on it again. And I remember from the very beginning, I would drink a lot and I would almost black out then. And I had some really not healthy experiences, and most people would learn from those and say, oh, I probably shouldn't be drinking. But I liked the feeling so much because I was such a shy kid. And when I drank, it gave me that liquid courage, and I could dance better, and I was more vibrant. So I just kept drinking. Well, my stepdad, my father, he ended up taking a job in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So that was my sophomore year. So I ended up changing schools beginning of my junior year. But in my sophomore year, my mom, we actually flew out to Albuquerque, New Mexico to audition for cheerleading to audition for cheerleading. And I made the squad. And so I had an instant group of friends there. But it was a very active and just party lifestyle. And we would have liquid lunches. And literally we would have open lunch. So we would go to lunch, and I would have McDonald's. We would see who would eat the most burgers. It was crazy. Thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I even alive to this day? Anyway, my drinking escalated even more, and cheerleading was my life. I always did really, really well in school, but I ended up, we were going to a basketball game. It was my senior year in high school, and we were a very competitive cheerleading squad. So we were going to nationals and doing all these amazing things. But I was getting ready to go to a basketball game, and we ended up having like a wine cooler. We had a beer or something before the game, and a security guard, Maya, a security guard found us. So I ended up getting kicked off the cheerleading squad and suspended from school. I had really good grades in school, so this was horrifying, but then also being kicked off cheerleading, like cheerleading was my life. So it was really, really, really devastating. I ended up running track after that. And that's also when I really got more into working out and like aerobics. And that's when my love of fitness kind of picked up. So again, you would think that I would have this bad experience and say, you know, I just lost something that I deeply value, cheerleading. You would think that I would learn that alcohol maybe isn't the best fit for me, but I still didn't learn. End up going to college. I cheer in college. I'm in a sorority. We're partying. I'm getting okay grades. I actually had an academic scholarship to college. Ended up losing that though my first year because I was drinking and partying a little bit too much. But then I promised my parents that I would get my act together and I would do better. So they allowed me to stay in New Mexico. They had actually moved back to Kansas at this time. But my second year in college, my grades got better. And this is the one time I did stop drinking in college. For a semester, I didn't drink because I was anorexic and alcohol had too many calories. So I got a lot going on, and I'm studying nutrition at this time. And also at this time, I would notice, because I had physicals every year in college, that my cholesterol started going high. So in college, late 80s, early 90s, I would notice if I would dial in my nutrition, I was always working out, so that wasn't an issue. But if I would dial in my nutrition and scale back on some of the processed foods, I was also vegetarian in college. I decided not to eat meat anymore. And when I called my mom about that, she was not surprised whatsoever because she remembers me sitting at the table and I would literally like almost cry when we had to eat chicken or whatever they had prepared for us. It was kind of comical. But vegetarian in college, and I would eat less processed foods and a little bit less dairy, and my cholesterol would drop dramatically. So from a very early time, I knew, and this was before lifestyle medicine was anything, or recognized, I should say, but I knew from a very early time that what I ate mattered, and what the exercise, the movement I have, the people I surround myself, I knew that lifestyle was really, really important. Ended up graduating from college, and the dietitian, because I did my dietetic internship, and my mentor dietitian, she actually was vegan. And I'm like, what? So I tried to be vegan for a hot minute when, like, after I graduated and I was practicing doing my internship. And it was just too hard because I loved my dairy. I'm from Kansas. I grew up with milk. I would give myself so much pride. Instead of, like, when I would eat pizza, instead of drinking soda, I would have a tall glass of milk, and I was like, oh, milk does the body good. This is so healthy for me. Well, fast forward, I learned a little bit differently. But what I learned from that time in my life when I couldn't, and again, I say that in air quotes, that I couldn't be vegan, is because mentally I wasn't ready to like dig deeper and take my health to the next level. So the dietitian that trained me, she's actually getting ready to retire. I still stay in touch with her. But in the early 90s, she's the one that introduced me to T. Colin Campbell, Caldwell Esselstyn, Dean Ornish. These are all like the thought leaders in plant-based nutrition and lifestyle medicine. And they have been huge game changers in this area. Well, fast forward, I get out of college. I practice as a registered dietitian, and then I end up getting into medical sales. After I left the hospital and got into sales, that's when my life focus changed a lot, because when I was practicing as a dietitian, I was still drinking a lot. I was still pretty active. But then when I got into sales, I was traveling all over the world. I was wining and dining physicians. I was going to these amazing conferences. I was living the big life, and it was a lot of fun. And I kind of lost sight of what was important to me, and the money and the glamour. Like that was like the diamonds of blinking in the sky. And I kind of went that far. I went that direction, and I went into it a little bit too hard. And fast forward many, many years. I'm going to fast forward to 2012. I was working in Tampa. I used to live in Tampa. I was working with a girlfriend who had been in recovery, and she went back out, and she had a conversation with me. She's like, Jackie, I've been drinking so much, and I really can't get a hold on my drinking, and I'm thinking about stopping again and really really learning about myself and starting recovery again. I'm like, if you do that, let me know. Well, she called me on May 15th, 2012, and she's like, I'm doing this. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. And there were probably for 10 years, I knew that I was drinking too much, but I would drink when I was happy, when I was sad, when I had a huge bonus, when I didn't get any bonus. Like I drank for every single emotion. And I didn't know, and I was also entertaining doctors. Like I didn't know how I could do my job or live life without alcohol being a part of it. And I met so many women. Like the very first woman that I met in recovery was one of these big, huge doctors. She speaks at all the international conventions in a different disease state than where I was selling. But she was the very first person I met. And I was like, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And then my very first sponsor, she actually was a sommelier. And I'm like, wait a minute, you like taste wine for a living and you cannot drink? So I was like, okay, that was giving me a lot of hope. Fast forward, I'm going to celebrate 10 years being sober in May this year. And it's beautiful. And I literally thought, I don't know what I was thinking when I first went into recovery. I was thinking maybe I was going to learn how to drink like a normal person or something like that. But what I learned is I had to like literally change everything I was doing and thinking and acting and being. And it was my journey into sobriety and recovery that took me back to my passion of lifestyle medicine. Food is medicine, exercise is medicine. And that's what's gotten me to where I am today. I met an incredible woman. She trained me in a fitness competition. I always wanted to compete in a fitness competition, but I could never do it because I couldn't stop drinking long enough. And 4 years into my recovery, I'm like, all right, I'm not drinking anymore. What's my excuse? And that's how I met my now business partner. And that's where I met you, Maya, a couple of years later. So Marcia and I our business is Plant Chics, and we went to the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference. We've also been to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I started going to these conferences around my first or second year in recovery because I wanted to get back into it. And when I was like actively drinking, I'd never heard of the term plant-based. It was always vegan back then, but I thought plant-based was so brilliant because that's more representative of the health benefits of food as medicine. And then of course, exercise is medicine and lifestyle medicine. So it's beautiful. And I really resonated with this whole plant-based nutrition, but that's where I met Marcia. And Plant Chics was able to catapult us to a whole nother level. And that's when we started meeting a ton of physicians. And that's my safe space, like working with physicians, because I called on physicians for so many years in sales or worked with them in the hospital. So this was like a very natural progression. And then when my friends created Planted Forward, it's an integrated telehealth practice, and they asked if I would be interested in joining as a health coach. Without hesitation, I'm like 100%, because I would love to be a part of this. And it literally is my mission to empower people to live as healthy and as vibrantly as possible. And it's beautiful because it never, ever is too late to start. There's people who start this in their 80s and they see significant results. I started this in my mid 40s. I'm now in my 50s, and I literally have never felt better. So it's absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited to be able to share it not only through Plant Chics, but also through coaching at Planted Forward.
I really like the fact that you offer support when it comes to people that are either trying to go sober or that are already in recovery. That's we touched a little bit about that.
Yes. And it was, my upbringing really did have a profound effect on me. And one of my biggest fears in life was becoming obese. My mother is morbidly obese. And I don't know why that scared me so much, because my mother is the most loving and kind woman. So I don't know what that fear stemmed from. And that actually drove me to study nutrition. And it also, like when I was studying nutrition and I saw my cholesterol going high, I noticed when I dialed in my nutrition, I always worked out, so working out wasn't a thing. But I noticed when I would tighten up my lifestyle, my cholesterol numbers would normalize. So I just knew from a very early on time that lifestyle was so, so impactful. And then it is interesting now, many years later, seeing how my recovery ties in so nicely with that. Because a lot of times when people get sober, that instead of drinking alcohol, they'll turn to eating a lot of sweets and a lot of sugar. It's called transfer addiction. So people can end up gaining weight in sobriety. And it just is very, very fascinating. And it's really powerful to see how lifestyle can play a very, very important role in recovery from addiction, but just in recovery from like living a lifestyle that might not be the healthiest. Because I think that there's so many parallels, Maya, when you look at addiction recovery and then people who say they have so many, like maybe they've got diabetes, they're overweight, they have high blood pressure, they have family history of heart disease, which is my story. And they're wanting to make changes. And it's addiction from living an unhealthy life as well. So I think there's so many parallels there.
I think many of us could use support in general. You're right. I mean, we don't have to have a drinking problem to have an addiction to something else, like even smoking, or just the salts and sugars are the hardest. They're very difficult to break. So I just want to make sure that we mention again Plant Chics and your group support, because I know that you mainly support women. And so can you tell us a little bit more of what people can expect when they join your group?
Yes, I would love to. Plant Chics and Planted Forward are completely my passion. And Plant Chics, Marcia is 47, I'm 52. So our community, our target audience are women in their 40s and over, like 40, 50, 60, sometimes even in their 70s. As women, we need support. Marcia and I, one of the reasons we created our Plant Chics tribe was because we don't have the support at home. Both of our husbands, they're not 100% plant-based, but both of them are listening more and more to what we're talking about. And they're both trying to be healthier in their own way. And we're not pushing them in any direction because that's their life. But we knew we needed more support. So that's why we created the Plant Chics tribe. So ladies, you don't have to be 40 or over to join our Plant Chics tribe. But we really do encourage you to come in, join us, and you don't have to be plant-based. You have to be plant curious. So interested in eating healthier, adding more plants to your plate, and we welcome all women. So that's for women only. And one of the things that we are recently launched with Plant Chics is our Plant Chics Lifestyle, because just like what we were saying, it's not just the food, it's not just fitness, it's our lifestyle that's so important. And our Plant Chics Lifestyle is a membership group where you get all kinds of different workouts that you can work out along with us. You can follow along. And we also have some Plant Chics Power workouts where you're going down to the gym, or you can do them at home because a lot of the women prefer to work out at home. But that's lifting weights. And it's really important that as women, we do add weightlifting to our workout routine, because after the age of 30, ladies, we can decrease our bone density up to 10% per decade. So I'm in my 50s, so my bone density could have already decreased from my 30s by 20%. And I've actually had a couple bone density studies done, and I'm staying even Steven. But it's because I'm very, very cognizant of the foods that I'm eating. And then I'm also lifting weights and doing workouts, stressing my bones. So our Plant Chics Lifestyle, We've got workouts and for everyone. And then we also have our plant plates, which is our signature plant forward meals. And you can literally, all diets are welcome in our group, and you can add anything else, but with our plant plates, you're going to have a healthy meal prepared. And if you want to add a little seasonings or whatever to your liking, you can do that.
I don't remember if you had meetups before in person.
We did before, and that was always so fun. So we would do them like in Dallas. Marcia lives in Dallas. I live in Miami. We do them here. And we were getting ready to do different retreats, but then COVID happened. So that's a little bit postponed, but stay present, because we are always searching to see when and where we can host get-togethers, because Maya, you and I, we met virtually, and then we also got to meet in person. And there's something with that one-on-one, like when you get to see people in person. So Marcia and I both thrive on seeing people, like getting together with our tribe. So hopefully in the near future, we'll have some Plant Chics retreats as well.
Yes. Oh, hopefully. That would be so much fun. It makes sense that women our age, who are a little bit older, like you say, they don't necessarily have to be over 40, but we do need that additional support from one another. It's easier when you're younger and have less commitment. And it's just easier to find your friends are more local, and life changes a little bit, right, when we get older. So, yeah, to have that support. And I remember, I just kind of want to throw this in there, that you had a retreat to Costa Rica. You took a group of ladies. What was it, like 3 years ago or so?
Yes, Maya, this retreat was so amazing. So I went to the University of New Mexico and I studied nutrition and dietetics there. And I actually got in touch with one of the professors from University of New Mexico. And it's a retreat that we did in conjunction with their nutrition students. It was a week long. We actually did lab draws upon arrival in Costa Rica, and then 7 days later. And there was one of the retreatants, we had about 10 women there. One of the retreatants, she had just finished her master's in nutrition, diabetic, high cholesterol. There was a lot of high cholesterol. These are college age students, but the woman getting her master's, we were close in age. But she said that she was shocked at how easy it was to follow a plant-based diet. Her cholesterol dropped 50 points in 7 days, and her blood sugars were almost normalized. She went home, she continued with the plant-based diet, and I think she is now off of all diabetic medications. Simply from changing up a lifestyle is huge. And all the other girls, some of the other college age kids, young 20s or late teens, early 20s, their cholesterol dropped significantly. It was beautiful, beautiful to see. And even their moods were elevated. But we were also in the beauty of Costa Rica and hiking and being active every day, eating delicious food, doing fun tours. It was incredible. And hopefully we'll be doing another one with them soon.
Your retreat is really more about complete wellness, spirituality, physical activity, connectivity. So yeah, yes, you're in a beautiful location. Of course, you're going to be happier, but you're also doing everything else that can enhance your lives.
Yeah. And you know what? That wellness travel, doing different retreats like that, it's really on the increase. So many people are looking, because we have such stressful jobs, or just living in the times of COVID. There's so much unknown. So getting away and being able to decompress and really relax and feed your body nourishing and healing foods, and move your body to just loosen up and let go and connect with your higher power, whomever that may be. It might be nature. It's really, really, really empowering. It's making me want to go back right now, actually.
Right. So now you've been doing all this work before you started with Planted Forward. So I did mention that I had Dr. Melissa Mandala on the show recently, and she went over every provider that she has partnered with to offer this complete program through telemedicine. And so can you explain to us again your role with Planet Forward? And I believe there's a program that's coming up as well.
Yes. So Planet Forward, I absolutely love what Dr. Mandala and Dr. Mendez have created with their virtual telemedicine practice. It's an integrative, holistic health practice We have cardiology with Dr. Nicole Harkin, Dr. Melissa Mandala. She does all our primary care. She also does addiction as well. And then Dr. Vanessa Mendez, who's our gastroenterologist, and she really specializes in inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's and colitis, and gut health. And then we've got two incredible registered dietitians, Amanda and Natalie. I love both of them. And then I get to do their health coaching, which I'm super excited about. And one of the things that I'm really super psyched is we're doing a 12-week group coaching, and it starts mid-February. And we have different topics over the course of 12 weeks. And I'll just briefly talk through the 12 different topics. The first week is mindful eating, and you'll get to you actually get to practice eating food mindful. And I go over how to do this like step by step. We also look at recognizing your hunger cues and your fullness cues, and then seeing what you want to do with them. Like if you're hungry, do you want to eat? If you're full, do you want to keep eating? Do you want to stop eating? And this is all, you make this what you want it to be. So it's really, really educational. And all the homework is you putting all of this information you're learning into practice. So you're actually leveling up your lifestyle, which, by the way, is the title of the group coaching. And then the next week, we talk about unprocessing your food. Now, this is good for all dietary preferences. And I have to say, there are so many similarities between all the different diets out there. And one of the similarities is unprocessing your food. So if you're a vegan and you're eating Oreos and potato chips and drinking diet soda, or if you're eating on the standard American diet, having pizza and French fries and whatever, then you can still unprocess your food and learn how to replace some of the prepackaged foods or ultra high processed foods with some more real whole foods, nourishing and healing whole foods. So we go through a big, this is going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to hear everyone's aha moments with unprocessing their food. And then next, we're going to move to mindset, and we talk about breaking bad habits, because you can have all the knowledge in the world about what exercise you should do, what foods you should be eating, how much sleep you should be getting. But if you can't make it happen because you're doing something mentally to hold yourself back, then all of that is for naught. So we're going to really talk about what is one habit that you want to work on and create a new healthy habit to replace that habit. So we'll be talking about breaking bad habits, and all of these kind of stack on top of one another, and you can keep growing and evolving throughout the 12 weeks. And then we talk about WTF, but it's not what you're thinking. It's actually, where's the fiber? And fiber is only found in plant foods. So we're sneaking ways how to sneak more protein with fiber into your meals, more carbohydrates with fiber, and also more fats with fiber in there. So we go through all of that. And then we talk about setting up your kitchen. This is an area in a lot of different sessions, a lot of coaching, just a lot of nutrition, like when you meet with dietitians or whatever, that this one gets left behind. So really, I take this from Chef AJ, when it's in your house, it's in your mouth. So if we can learn to say no at the grocery store and just bring the healthier foods home for us, that's going to be a huge help. But we talk about setting up your kitchen for success. And then the next week is reading nutrition labels. It is Heart Month, and I just did a live with our cardiologist from Planted Forward, Dr. Nicole Harkin, and she's saying that saturated fats are not good for our LDL cholesterol. And the saturated fats are mainly found in animal foods, but some saturated fats are also found in plant foods. Two big sources are coconut oil and palm kernel oil. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we're reading labels, because coconut oil and palm oil are in so many different foods. Palm oil is found in so many peanut butter. So it's really important that we start reading nutrition labels, and we've got a whole week to talk about that. Then we talk about eating out, because we all love to eat out. That brings us joy. So we learn how to MacGyver menus and how to find healthy menu options at literally every restaurant and talk about different ways the foods are prepared in the restaurants. And then the next week is exercise. We learn to love exercise. And you know what? If you don't have a lot of time in your days, this is one of my favorite things to talk about is exercise snacks. We can always sneak in some little exercise snacks throughout the day. So say you work from home, from the office, wherever you're working. But if you're working an 8-hour day, I challenge you, and you guys can start this now. You don't have to do the coaching program to do this. But on every hour, I challenge you for 5 minutes every hour. I want you to get up and move your body. Maybe you're going outside, getting some fresh air, walking around. Or if you need to stay in, sometimes you can do jumping jacks, you can do push-ups, you can do squats, you can do burpees if you're feeling really energetic. But you go from there. But make sure you're moving your bodies for 5 minutes on every hour. And if you're working 8 hours, you're getting in 40 minutes of exercise in your work day. And that's brilliant. And you'll meet the recommended 150 minutes of exercise without any problems just by going to work, which is really, really key. Then the next one is traveling. My husband and I are getting ready to go to South Africa for our anniversary. And you know what? Even when I'm traveling to fabulous destinations like that, I'm still able to be mindful of the foods I'm eating. Yeah, I splurge a little bit, but I'm paying attention and eating real nourishing and healing foods. I'm moving my body. We walk a lot on tours. So my exercise might look a little bit different while I travel, but I give you a lot of different tips and tricks, and then you decide what will work for you. Because I'm just sharing different things that work. And then one of the benefits of being in the group coaching, you'll hear everyone else in the group and what is working for them in this area, and you'll get so many different ideas. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we've got 3 more weeks. The next one is sleep and meditation. So sleeping is probably the strongest indicator of health or not being healthy, because if as adults we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, yeah, we've got like a couple outliers that only need 3 to 4 hours. I am not one of them, but it's really important because if I'm getting up and I'm working out every day, I'm eating really healthy meals, but then I only get less than 7 hours of sleep, my body is not functioning optimally, and my hormones might be out of whack. I might have more cortisol built up. Like it can wreak havoc on your body. So we talk about ways to improve your sleep, to sneak more sleep in, and one of those ways is meditation. Meditation is the second closest activity to sleep. It can really help calm your body down and help your body repair and rebuild and regenerate. So sleep and meditation are really, really important, and you get to see how that will work in your life. And then a really big component is community and connections. That's in another week that we talk about. And I think we all noticed from COVID, from not being around so many people, that isolation, how detrimental that can be on us mentally and physically. So we talk about the importance of community and connections. And one of the things that you'll do in the group coaching is you're going to make incredible, incredible connections because you're with a small group of people who are on this healthy lifestyle journey. And it's going to be beautiful to see the friendships that evolve from this. And then we put it all together in the final week. And putting it all together, we talk a lot about setting healthy boundaries. Like you've created some really, really good habits over the prior 11 weeks. How are you going to go out in the world and continue this? And where can you make some healthy boundaries? Like you might have to say no to some things in order to say yes to your health. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how people grow. And I always get so inspired and motivated by my clients. So I can't wait to see my personal growth from this as well.
Now, are you trying to keep this small? You did say a small group.
Yeah, we're going to have maybe 10 to 12. And I have a couple different groups. And they're right now at noon, Tuesdays at noon Eastern. and then Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And if the groups start getting too big, I'll add in more days and more times.
How can people sign up? Do you have to be a patient at all of Planet Forward?
That's a great question. Yes, in order to sign up for the coaching, you need to register on planetforward.com. And yeah, you'll register as a patient and let them know that you're interested in the 12-week coaching, and then we'll get you all set up. And it's going to be, you'll have some videos that you watch on your own. You have some homework, like little worksheets that you pull out, but the homework is literally you putting into practice all these different topics that we're talking about. So you'll work on that, and then we connect the following week, and I do a small talk about the topic of the week, and then we open it up for group sharing, and you guys share where you are, how your week went, what were some of your aha moments, and maybe if there was something that didn't work, what happened, what got in your way, what could you do differently, or what tweaks do you need to make in order to make it work better for you?
It's knowing that we have to exercise, right? But then knowing how to actually put that in practice every day. And then I'm assuming there'll be some journaling. You said there's some homework involved in that as well. Sounds like a great program. I wanted to come back also. I don't think we touched on it, but I was wondering if you were very active on Clubhouse. Are you still running a group there?
Yeah, so I do some rooms on Clubhouse. I actually have a room, Sober Travels. It's under the Girls Love Travel, and we're actually going to be ending it in a couple weeks. But if you guys like message me, feel free to reach out on Instagram or reach out to Maya and she'll forward it to me. If you guys are interested in doing more rooms around Sober Travels, I'm totally down to bringing that back. But then I also do some other rooms in Girls Love Travel, and then a couple other like plant-based groups, and all around like health and wellness, basically.
I know that you're very active there and you're doing so many great things. I want to make sure that we've covered everything. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I'm just grateful for this opportunity, and this is my passion. Like, seeing people level up their health and get healthy and feel better and have more energy, there's nothing that brings me more joy. One of my girlfriends, because like I said, I'm 52, but one of my friends from high school reached out to me like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and she goes, Jacque, I feel so like you're so motivating, inspiring, and seeing you, but I'm so overweight. I'm like, girl, you got to start somewhere. And I literally she would message back and forth. She joined our Plant Chics tribe. She's down 75 pounds. She's so healthy. She feels amazing. And literally, it's just by making those small changes. It's never, ever too early to start leveling up your lifestyle. And it's also never too late. There's people who have reversed heart disease in their like 80s and 90s. So if you're on the fence, if you're getting curious, if you really do want to feel better, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, I would love to chat with you and see if this group coaching might be a benefit for you. I welcome you with open arms to our Plant Chics Lifestyle as well. And I'm here for you. Like, if you just need someone to cheer you on, I'm here for that too. And if you're struggling with alcohol or addiction, and it could be food too, because we have that as our history too, right? If you've got anything, reach out. Know that there is hope, and you don't have to continue struggling and feeling that way. But thank you again, Maya, for having me here.
Thank you, Jacque. You've been listening to the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast with your host, Maya Acosta. If you've enjoyed this podcast, do us a favor and share with one friend who can benefit from this episode. Feel free to leave us an honest review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us to spread our message. You can also head on over to podinbox.com/HLS to leave me a voicemail. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening.